Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive with us.
Excited to be here.
Today, we're going to be looking at TableGPT2.
Okay.
Have you heard of this one?
Yeah, it's a really interesting new large language model.
Yeah, it's designed to work with tabular data.
That's right.
So, like spreadsheets, like
Exactly.
the stuff we see in databases all the time.
It's really highlighting this gap, I think, that's kind of existed with large language models.
Okay.
Traditional LLMs haven't been very good at working with this kind of data,
Interesting.
even though it's everywhere.
Yeah.
In their report, TableGPT2, a large multimodal model with tabular data integration.
Okay.
Junbo Zhao and the team from Zhejiang University,
Mm-hmm.
they argue that this is a huge missed opportunity.
So even if like an LLM can, I don't know, write a sonnet or code a website,
Right.
it's still kind of stuck if it can't access the data.
Yeah,
That fuels like so many real world decisions.
exactly.
Okay.
The authors offer some pretty compelling examples in section 1.1.
Okay.
Imagine an LLM trying to give you financial advice,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't have access to real-time market data.
Oh, right.
Or a healthcare AI trying to diagnose a patient
Yeah,
without their medical records.
makes sense.
That's the problem they're trying to solve.
And tabular data, it's not exactly like niche, is it?
Definitely not.
Okay.
They estimate over 70% of global data is in this tabular format.
Wow, okay.
Section 1.1.
So if we can unlock the potential of LLMs
Right.
to understand and interact with this type of data,
Yeah.
it could have a massive impact.
Huge impact.
It makes me think about the explosion we've seen
Yeah.
with LLMs in, like text and vision tasks.
Right.
It feels like a similar wave could be coming for business intelligence.
That's the hope.
Yeah.
TableGPT2 is designed to be a powerful tool for business intelligence.
Okay.
But it works very differently from traditional BI systems,
Okay.
which are often limited by fixed queries
Right.
and inflexible methods. This is in section 1.1.
Okay.
TableGPT2 takes a much more flexible approach.
So how does it actually work?
Well, Figure 1 gives us a good overview of the key components.
Okay.
It starts with continual pre-training, which they call CPT, to boost the model's core abilities. Then they do supervised fine-tuning,
Okay.
or SFT,
Okay.
to specialize it for business intelligence tasks.
Gotcha.
And at the heart of it all is a really innovative table encoder
Okay.
that's designed to truly understand the structure and content of tables.
Continual pre-training sounds pretty intense.
It is.
What are they doing there?
Well, they start with a powerful base model
Okay.
called Qwen 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
It already has strong language processing capabilities.
Okay.
This is section 3.1.
Gotcha.
But they want to make sure TableGPT2 is especially good at coding and reasoning,
Okay.
skills that are essential for BI tasks.
So it's like they're sending TableGPT2 to like coding boot camp
Right.
to beef up its logic muscles.
That's a great way to put it.
I like that.
They feed it a massive amount of data, 86 billion tokens to be exact,
Wow.
focused on code and reasoning.
Okay.
They use sources like Stack Overflow,
Hmm.
GitHub,
Okay.
and even textbooks covering things like finance and biotechnology.
Wow.
This is section 3.2.
So they're not just like throwing any old code at it.
Yeah.
They're being pretty selective about the training data.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Data quality is super important,
Yeah.
especially when you're dealing with this volume of information.
Right.
They talk about a 2-level filtering process to weed out any low quality or irrelevant content.
Okay.
Section 3.2.
So all of this continual pre-training is basically laying the groundwork
It's
for TableGPT2 to become like a BI expert.
exactly.
Okay.
It's like building a strong foundation
Yeah.
before you start constructing the rest of the building.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So once they've got this like solid base,
Right.
how do they actually teach it to understand tables?
That's where the supervised fine-tuning comes in.
Okay.
This is where they really start to specialize the model for business intelligence tasks.
Gotcha.
They've created this massive data set
Okay.
of 2.36 million samples
Wow.
designed to represent a wide range of real-world BI scenarios.
Okay.
Section 5.
2.36 million samples.
Yeah.
What kind of scenarios are we talking about here?
Think about all the things people do with data in a business context.
Uh-huh.
They might need to generate code to query a database,
Yeah.
visualize trends in a spreadsheet,
Okay.
perform statistical tests, or even build predictive models.
Right.
They've included all of these tasks and more in the SFT dataset to make sure TableGPT2 can handle a diverse range of challenges.
So it's like they're throwing everything but the kitchen sink at it, data-wise.
Pretty much.
Okay.
But they're not just dumping a bunch of data on the model and hoping for the best.
No.
They've gone through a rigorous process of data cleaning and augmentation to ensure the data is high quality and representative of real-world usage.
Wow. Okay.
Sections 5.2 and 5.3.
That sounds incredibly thorough.
It is.
It seems like they're really committed to making sure TableGPT2 can handle the complexities of real-world data.
Absolutely.
Okay.
They know that to truly excel in BI, the model needs to be able to deal with the messy, unpredictable nature of real-world data.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, I'm really curious about this a special table encoder you mentioned earlier.
Right.
It sounds like that's the kind of secret sauce
It is.
that allows TableGPT2 to actually understand tables
Yeah.
in a way that other LLMs can't.
Exactly.
Okay.
The table encoder is a key innovation here. In Section 4.1, they explain that traditional approaches to using LLMs with tables involved converting the table data into text formats,
Okay.
like Markdown or HTML.
So they were basically trying to force a square peg into a round hole.
Exactly.
Right.
And it created a lot of problems.
Yeah.
First, it's incredibly inefficient. Okay.
Imagine trying to cram a giant spreadsheet into a text file.
Right.
Second, it loses a lot of the structural information that makes a table,
Okay.
like the relationships between rows and columns.
It's like trying to understand a building by looking at a list of its individual bricks.
Yes.
You lose all sense of the, architecture.
That's a great analogy.
Thanks.
And the paper points out that even with larger context windows,
Okay.
which allow LLMs to process more text at once,
Right.
this approach just doesn't cut it for truly understanding tables.
Interesting.
Section 4.1.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how is TableGPT2's encoder different?
Well, they designed it from the ground up to capture the unique characteristics of tabular data.
Okay.
Instead of trying to flatten it into text, it generates what they call structure-enriched embeddings
Okay.
that preserve the relationships between cells, rows, and columns.
Hold on. Can you back up for a second?
Sure.
You mentioned embeddings.
Right.
Can you remind me what those are?
Sure.
Embeddings are basically a way of representing data as vectors that capture its meaning and relationships.
Okay.
Think of it like translating a word into a code that captures not just its dictionary definition,
Right.
but also its nuances and how it relates to other words.
Okay, so it's more than just a simple one-to-one translation.
Yeah.
It's about capturing the deeper meaning of the data.
Right.
Gotcha.
And in the case of TableGPT2, they've used a clever bidimensional attention mechanism
Okay.
to allow the model to process the table both row-wise and column-wise,
Okay.
capturing the full complexity of its structure.
So it can, understand the relationships between different pieces of data in a table.
Exactly.
Not just, the data itself.
Right.
Okay.
This is Section 4.2, Figure 2.
Gotcha.
This means TableGPT2 can understand the relationships between different pieces of data in a table, not just the data itself, making it much smarter than previous models.
Interesting.
They also use something called contrastive learning to help the model learn distinct embeddings for different columns,
Okay.
even if their names are similar.
So it's not just memorizing, the content of each cell.
Right.
It's learning to understand the role each column plays in the overall meaning of the table.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To integrate these embeddings with the LLM, they use a QFormer style adapter.
Okay.
That aligns the table information with the text-based input.
Okay, I have to admit, that one went over my head a bit.
Okay.
Can you break down what a QFormer style adapter is?
Think of it like a translator that helps the LLM bridge the gap between the world of tables and the world of language.
Okay.
It takes those complex table embeddings and converts them into a format that the LLM can understand and work with.
Okay, so it can actually use that information.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
They even include schema metadata, like column names and data types, in this hybrid representation to give the LLM as much context as possible.
Wow. Okay.
Section 4.2.
So that sounds like a really elegant solution to a complex problem.
They've put a lot of thought into how to make this integration as seamless and effective as possible.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Yeah.
So we've covered the continual pre-training to build a strong base.
Right.
The massive supervised fine-tuning
Right.
to specialize it for BI tasks.
Right.
And this innovative table encoder.
Yes.
But how do we know it actually works?
Yeah, that's a great question.
How do they evaluate its performance?
They put it through a rigorous evaluation process
Okay.
using a combination of existing benchmarks and a new one they created called RealTabBench,
Oh, cool.
Section 7.
So they wanted to see how it stacked up against both, kind of like general-purpose LLMs
Right.
and models specifically designed for table-related tasks.
Exactly.
That
And the
is-
results are pretty impressive.
Okay.
TableGPT2 consistently outperformed nearly all other LLMs,
Wow.
achieving state-of-the-art results on many benchmarks.
Nice.
Okay.
Section 7.
And what about on this RealTabBench?
Yeah, that's where it gets really interesting.
Okay. RealTabBench was designed to be much more challenging than existing benchmarks.
Okay.
It focuses on the kinds of messy, ambiguous tables you often encounter in real-world BI scenarios.
So no more perfectly formatted toy data sets.
Right.
This was the real deal.
Exactly.
Okay.
They specifically looked at tables with ambiguous entries and irregular structures, things that often trip up traditional LLMs.
It's like they took it out of the lab and threw it into the wild to see how it would survive.
And survive it did.
Okay.
TableGPT2 once again demonstrated superior performance,
Okay.
showing it can handle the complexities of real-world tables much better than its competitors.
Wow.
Section 7.1, Table 6.
Okay.
They even tested it on a dataset called HATAB, which is known for its complexity, and TableGPT2 still performed remarkably well.
This is all incredibly exciting.
It is.
But I have to admit, I'm still, wrapping my head around all the technical details.
Sure.
Can you give me, the elevator pitch
Okay.
on what makes TableGPT2 so groundbreaking?
In a nutshell, TableGPT2 is the first LLM that can truly understand and interact with tabular data in a way that's both powerful and practical.
Okay.
It combines a deep understanding of coding and reasoning with a novel table encoder that captures the unique structure and semantics of tables.
And this opens up a whole new world of possibility
It does.
for business intelligence and data analysis.
Absolutely.
We're talking about being able to ask questions in plain language
Right.
and get insightful answers directly from our data.
Exactly.
No more complex queries or tedious manual analysis.
It's a game changer.
So this isn't just like an academic exercise.
Bro.
It has the potential to change how we work with data in a very real way.
Exactly. It's research with real-world implications.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so exciting.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned that TableGPT2 was evaluated on several different benchmarks.
Right.
But the paper also talks about some potential limitations
Yeah.
and areas for future research.
How-
Can you tell me a bit more about that?
Of course.
Okay.
No model is perfect.
Right.
And the authors acknowledge that TableGPT2 is still under development.
Okay.
Section 8.
Gotcha.
They highlight a few areas where they see room for improvement.
Like what?
Well, one area they mention is the issue of domain-specific coding practices.
Okay.
Section 8.1.
Gotcha.
While TableGPT2 was trained on Python and SQL, many businesses use specialized coding languages or conventions that the model might not be familiar with.
So it's like TableGPT2 can speak the language of data,
Right.
but it might need to learn a few different dialects
Exactly.
to be truly fluent in, the corporate world.
Exactly.
Okay.
They suggest that future work could focus on developing ways to adapt TableGPT2 to these specific domain languages.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to drop it into a company that uses a completely different coding style
Right.
and expect it to hit the ground running. It would need some extra training to adapt to its new environment.
Precisely.
Okay.
Another interesting point they raise is the idea of multi-agent design.
Okay.
Section 8.2.
Gotcha.
They argue that even a model as powerful as TableGPT2 might not be able to solve every problem on its own.
So it might need some friends to help it out.
Precisely.
Okay.
They envision a future where multiple LLMs, each specialized for different tasks, work together in a coordinated way to tackle complex data analysis problems.
Interesting.
They even give an example of a multi-agent system they built for equity and fund recommendations, where one LLM focuses on understanding user intent, another generates code and interacts with data, and a third specializes in domain-specific analysis.
Oh.
Section 8.2.
It's like a data analysis dream team.
Exactly.
That's so cool.
And this multi-agent approach could be especially powerful in scenarios where you need to integrate data from multiple sources or perform a wide range of analyses.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got domain-specific coding and multi-agent design
Yes.
as areas for future research.
Exactly.
Anything else they highlight?
Yes. They bring up an intriguing point about the versatility of tables.
Okay.
Section 8.3.
Okay.
While TableGPT2 was primarily designed to work with structured data from databases and spreadsheets, Tables also exist in many other forms,
Right.
like in documents and web pages.
So it's like they focused on the most common type of table.
Right.
But there's still a lot of other kind of table-like structures out there
Yeah.
that could benefit from TableGPT2's capabilities.
Exact.
All right.
And these irregular tables, as they call them, often have features that can trip up traditional LLMs, like merged cells, inconsistent formatting, and free-form text.
So it's like TableGPT2 has learned to read the textbook version of tables,
Yes.
but it might need some extra training to decipher the handwritten notes in the margins.
That's a great way to put it. They suggest that future research could focus on extending TableGPT2's capabilities to handle these more irregular forms of tabular data.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It would be amazing to have an LLM that could extract insights from any table,
Right.
no matter how messy or unstructured it might seem.
Absolutely. That would truly unlock the full potential of tabular data and revolutionize how we work with information.
Wow.
Yeah. Before we move on, I want to circle back to these irregular tables for a moment.
Okay.
Think about how many people use spreadsheets every day
Yeah.
in businesses, schools, even for personal finances.
Oh, absolutely. Spreadsheets are everywhere. I
Right.
use them all the time myself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And those spreadsheets often don't follow the neat, structured format of a database table.
Right.
They might have merged cells, notes scattered around, or even little charts embedded in them.
It's like the Wild West of tabular data.
Precisely.
Anything goes.
Right. And most existing LLMs just aren't equipped to handle that kind of free-form structure.
Right.
But if TableGPT2 can be trained to understand these irregular tables, it could open up a whole new world of possibilities.
It's like being able to tap into the hidden knowledge buried in all those messy spreadsheets that people create every day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We could potentially unlock insights from data that was previously considered too unstructured or too difficult to analyze.
That would be huge. It could change how we make decisions in so many areas of our lives.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It really highlights the importance of pushing the boundaries of what LLMs can do and ensuring they can handle the full spectrum of data that exists in the real world.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the potential,
Yeah.
but let's get back to the nuts and bolts.
Okay.
You mentioned that TableGPT2 was evaluated on several different benchmarks
Right.
and achieved some, impressive results.
Yes.
Can you walk me through some specific examples?
Certainly.
Yes.
One of the tasks they tested was table QA, or table question answering.
Okay.
This involves giving the model a table and a natural language question and seeing if it can provide the right answer based on the table's data.
Okay.
Section 7.
Gotcha.
TableGPT2 excelled at this task, outperforming other LLMs on benchmarks like Wikisec and Wikitable questions.
So it's like a data-driven trivia game,
Right.
but much more useful.
You could think of it that way.
Okay.
It's essentially demonstrating the model's ability to understand the information presented in a table and answer questions about it accurately.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What about more complex tasks,
Sure.
like generating code?
Right.
How did it perform there?
That's another area where TableGPT2 really shined.
Okay.
They evaluated it on benchmarks like Spider and Bird,
Okay.
which require the model to translate natural language queries into executable SQL code.
So it's like having the LLM act as a SQL programmer?
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
And it did incredibly well, achieving high accuracy rates on both benchmarks.
That's really impressive.
Yeah,
It sounds like TableGPT2 is truly like a versatile model
it is.
that can handle a wide range of data analysis tasks.
It can.
Okay.
And what's particularly exciting is that it didn't sacrifice its general abilities in order to specialize in tables.
Okay.
They were careful to balance the training process to ensure TableGPT2 remained a well-rounded model.
So it's not just like a one-trick pony.
Right.
It can still hold its own in other areas,
Yeah.
even after being fine-tuned for tables.
Precisely.
Okay.
Now, I want to go back to that new benchmark they created, RealTabBench.
Okay.
We touched on it earlier,
Yeah.
but I think it's worth digging a little deeper into what makes it so challenging.
Of all ears.
As we discussed, RealTabBench was designed to reflect the messy, unpredictable nature of real-world data.
Right.
Section 7.1.
Gotcha.
They specifically included tables with features that often trip up LLMs, like ambiguous entries and irregular structures.
So it's like the ultimate test.
Yeah.
of a model's ability to, like, handle real-world data.
You could say that.
Okay.
They didn't just want to see if TableGPT2 could answer trivia questions based on perfectly formatted tables.
Right.
They wanted to push it to its limits and see if it could extract insights from data that was messy, incomplete, or even contradictory.
It's like giving it a real-world job interview instead of just a multiple-choice test.
That's a great analogy.
Thanks.
And TableGPT2 passed the interview with flying colors.
Nice.
It significantly outperformed other LLMs on Real Tab Bench, demonstrating its ability to handle the nuances of real-world data.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It sounds like they really went above and beyond
They did.
to create a benchmark that would truly assess TableGPT2's capability.
They did.
Okay.
And they made sure to evaluate it not just on accuracy, but also on consistency, information completeness, and even security.
Okay.
They wanted to ensure that TableGPT2 was providing reliable, comprehensive, and safe answers.
So it's like they were training it to be a responsible data analyst,
Right.
not just like a clever machine.
Exactly. And that's crucial, especially as LLMs become more integrated into our lives.
Yeah,
We need to ensure they're not just powerful, but also trustworthy.
absolutely. So we've covered a lot of ground today,
They have.
from the technical details of TableGPT2's architecture to its performance on the various benchmarks.
Right.
It's clear that this is a really powerful model
It is.
with the potential to really shake things up
Yeah.
in the world of data analysis.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
We're seeing some really exciting advancements in the field of large language models,
Yeah.
and TableGPT2 is definitely at the forefront of that wave.
Before we wrap up,
Okay.
I want to leave our listeners with something to think about.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about TableGPT2
Right.
in the context of business intelligence.
Yeah.
But its ability to understand and interact with tabular data
Right.
has much broader implications.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
In Section 8, the researchers hint at some of those broader applications. They envision a future where this technology goes far beyond traditional BI use cases.
And it's not hard to imagine why.
No.
Think about how prevalent tables are
Yeah.
in our everyday lives.
Right?
We use them in project management software, financial trackers,
Yeah.
even simple to-do lists.
It's true.
Yeah.
Tables are everywhere.
Right.
And yet most of our current tools are pretty limited
Yeah.
in how they let us interact with that data.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What if we could seamlessly integrate an LLM like TableGPT2
Right.
into all of those tools?
That would be a game changer. It would be
Yeah.
like having a data-savvy assistant built into every app we use,
Right.
helping us make sense of the information we
Yeah.
encounter daily.
Imagine being able to ask your to-do list app,
Okay.
what's the most urgent task I need to complete today?
Right.
Or which tasks are taking me the longest to finish?
Exactly. Or asking your budgeting app,
Yeah.
where am I spending the most money each month? Or am I on track to reach my savings goal?
The possibilities are endless.
They are.
It's about making data work for us,
Right.
not the other way around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about empowering people to make more informed decisions in both their personal and professional lives.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This has been a fascinating deep dive
It has.
into the world of TableGPT2. I always love getting to explore these cutting-edge advancements with you.
The feeling is mutual.
Awesome.
It's exciting to see how far this technology has come and to imagine what the future holds.
To our listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey
Yes, thank you.
of knowledge discovery.
We appreciate you.
We hope you found this deep dive insightful and engaging.
And we encourage you to continue exploring these topics on your own.
Yeah.
The world of LLMs is constantly evolving,
Right.
and there's always something new to learn.
So keep learning,
Yes.
keep questioning,
Keep diving deep.
and keep diving deep.
Until next time.
Until next time,
Happy exploring.
happy exploring.
Farewell,